Hello, everyone. Welcome to day, I think, 13 of processing and Java coding. Today, we're going to be working on adding a score system and how to add images, just to finish off, the tutorial. After this, we will be working on lots of other cool stuff. So, this is our code. Let's keep working on it. So, how do we add in a score system? Well, obviously, we can store inside of an integer variable, right? Score. We'll start the score at 0. Now, how do we detect the score, and how is the score calculated? Well, the score, all we're going to do is say, hey, every time a bird passes a pipe, right, and only one time when that bird passes the pipe, right, when the bird passes the pipe, we're going to increase the score by 1. So how do we do that? First, let's create another function inside of our pipe function. It's going to be another Boolean function. We're going to say passed. Yeah, and we're also going to give our pipe a variable. And the reason we want to store a variable inside the pipe, we're going to say float or passed. Hold on. Sorry, we're going to name the function check passed and passed. Passed is a Boolean. It's because we want to make sure our score doesn't just infinitely add. We want to when we pass over, we want to set past to true and then say we can't add more if it's already past it. Otherwise, we would add its score infinitely. So again, we're going to give a float x, a float y, or actually, we only need the x value. If x is greater than this dot x plus this dot x, if that value is already to the right of the left side of the pipe and and not passed, we're going to say passed equals true. So we're going to say, hey, not this dot passed. Oh, I forgot to sign it here, guys. That's really bad. All right, this dot passed equals false. It did not pass it yet when we first created it. So this dot passed, we're saying, hey, if it passed it and it hadn't passed it previously, right, we're going to say this dot passed equals true. It means it finally passed, and return true. Otherwise, or else, return false. Now, someone asked me, hey, why do we use 2 ampersand signs? Well, why can't we use 1? And the answer is processing or Java, when you write 2 ampersands, when you write 1 ampersand sign, it checks the left side, right? And it also checks the right side. It checks both sides no matter what. And it calculates, hey, are both of these true? Is this and that true? When you use 2 ampersand signs, it actually checks the left side first. And if the left side is true, then it also checks the right side. But if the left side is false, then it doesn't check the right side. It already knows that the answer is going to be false because one of them is false. So it's technically faster because it could skip over checking the other side. It's a change in milliseconds of computation time, but that could really help if you're doing a bunch of calculations. In our case, it doesn't really matter. We're just going to use the double ampersands. Just get used to it. Excuse me. So now that we've created this function, now we have to use it. So inside of our check function that we used earlier, we can also say we're going to also create a different check function. We're going to call it check point. Yeah, pipe. We're going to say, hey, if pipe.check passed, check passed, this dot x plus this dot with, we're checking the right side of the bird. As long as the right side of the bird hits the left side of the pipe and they pass, then they get a point. We don't need the y value. If that's true, return true. Otherwise, return false. And again, why do I create the function here? Why do I create it inside of the, oh yes. Oh, I spelled pipe. I'm on caps lock. All right, beautiful. And I forgot a parentheses. Okay. Why don't I write it right here? Because I could easily put it right here somewhere. But again, we want to keep everything as clean as possible. We want everything that the bird to calculate, we want to keep it inside of the bird class, and every time we want, to calculate anything else, we check it in this class. So when we went through all the pipes, or hold on, yeah, when we looped through all the pipes here. Okay, yeah, when we loop through all the pipes, not only do we want to say, hey, if bird check, we want to say if bird check point. Did it check point? Wow, that's really confusing. All right, I named some of my functions very similarly, and that they have completely different purposes. This checkpoint checks whether for the pipe, checks whether or not the point is inside of that pipe. This checkpoint checks whether or not I should add a point. So instead, I'm gonna call this add point. Because otherwise it would be a little too confusing. So if I should add a bird point, right? Then I'm gonna if I should add a point to the score, I'm gonna increase score by 1. So again, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna pass through the pipes.get I. So again, all this function is doing is saying, hey, did the bird pass a pipe, right? It loops through every pipe, and it tells my bird, hey, check whether or not you've passed this pipe. And the pipe has a certain function that says, hey, if this is the first time that the bird passes through, or this certain point passes through the pipe, then I will return true. And ultimately, this adds points. And the last thing we want to do, the very last thing we want to do, is we want to text a score to the screen, right? You could write this text really anywhere. I'm going to add in a couple of, wait here, maybe there's a better place to put it. Yeah, no, this is fine. Yeah, I'm gonna add at the end just to, keep things in order. We're gonna say again, fill 0, 0, 0. I'm gonna make it black, or let's make it blue. Let's make it blue. 252. Let's make it sharp dark blue. Text size, I think like 10 is fine. These are all really arbitrary, or it doesn't really matter. There's just personal preference. We can actually text align left, which is automatic. So we're going to print out score plus score. And that way we actually print out the score, And we're going to just print it like near the left corner, like 10 pixels out and another 10 pixels out. Let's see if this works. So we have our game here. Oh, it's actually green. Sorry, I did my thing wrong. Okay, well, I didn't even get a score of 1. All right, let's try this one more time. Press backspace. Oh, okay, you see my score's updating. I'm getting a score. So one last thing, and I forgot to add this in. One more thing that I should add in. The very, very last thing is, I forgot. When I restarted the game, I did the entire setup function again because I wanted to act as if, hey, the game's starting again. I should reset all my values. I forgot to set the score to 0. So I finished adding in the score function, basically to calculate the score and to display the score. Again, that's a personal thing. We don't have to have the score in to make an actual game. Obviously, adding a score makes it more fun because you can compete with your friends. But there's one. It's really personal preference, and this episode is all about that. So I will show you guys one more thing on how to add in more personalization, and this is images. How do you add in images? Well, I'm just gonna give our bird an image for now. All right, and this is how it works in processing. There's actually a class, and if you remember what a class is, it's a blueprint for an object. So you can make it's a blueprint. It's called p-image, processing image. So a p-image is a class that creates image objects that store images. And the reason we store images is because you give that image a height, a width, and yeah, a height and a width. And you can also display that image to the screen very easily. And I'm going to show you guys now. But first, before you do that, you have to locate where your processing folder is on your computer. When you first downloaded processing, where did you put it? If you put it on your desktop, that's easy to open. Where did you store your projects? You have to locate on your computer the right here it says the name of your file. You have to locate where that file is located and locate the folder where it's located. And inside that folder, you have to put in an image, right? And I guess you can basically get any free stock photo images online. And once you have that image, you take it and you put it inside that folder. Inside the same folder that this class or this file is in. And that way your code will know where it is. So because it's in the same folder, it knows where it is. Now I will show you guys how to use it. Now I have an image on my computer, right? Inside the folder with this file, I have an image called rocket.png. It's a free stock photo image of a rocket. I'm going to use that to add it to my bird instead of drawing a circle. So I'm going to give my bird property an image property, right? Sorry, it won't be a float. It'll be a p image, and I'm going to call it image. Wait, img. Let's just keep it a shortcut. So I'm going to say this.img, right? I'm going to give it a new value. And usually when you create a new object, you say new blah, blah, blah. But processing gives us a special constructor function, which basically says, which is basically a function that helps us make an image. And what it does is, hey, I say, if I write in load image, a function that processing knows, and I write in the name of my image file, rocket.png, it'll locate inside the folder that this file is in, the file called rocket.png, and it will load it and turn it into an object that we can use. That's crazy. And that's all you have to say. And once you have this image, I will show you guys how to display it to the screen. So now when I created this image, if I tried to print it to the screen, it would print it into the dimensions of the image, right? We don't want that. We want it to print into the dimensions that we say. So I'm going to comment this out, save it just in case we want to use it later. And instead, I'm going to use the image function. The image prints out an image, this.img. And with that image, it prints it to a certain coordinate. So I'm actually, yeah, okay. One last thing. And we're going to print this to this.x and this.y. That's beautiful, right? You print out the image, right? The image object that is contained inside of this object, this bird object. You're going to print it to these coordinates. Now, how do we change it so that this image is actually the size that we want it? There's a function that we can use inside of all image objects, right? Inside of the class of pImage, there's a function called resize. We're going to use the resize function, and we're going to change it to this.width and this.height. Oh, these have to be integer variables. Okay, I will show you guys how to do that. But what this does is it turns this image, right, into a new image that is resized to this width and this height. And it has, these values, right? And it prints this out. It prints this image to this coordinate. Now the problem is these are float values. And processing, and I think even, processing has this special function called int. And if you wrap it around a float, it'll turn that float into an integer. So we can avoid like just subtracting the decimal point, and we can simply say integer of this dot width and integer of this dot height. So it basically takes the decimal and throws it away. Excuse me. Now let's try this. Okay, guys, this is where we last left off. So I had this wrong. This is actually a void function. So it means it doesn't. What I mean is it doesn't give me back a new p image. All I have to do actually is I say image.resize here, and it actually changes the image object, and it resizes it to that width and height. So I don't have to put it inside put all that inside of this image function. All I have to say is print out this new image after it's been resized. So let's do that. You guys can see. that is not the right screen. All right, so finally, let's get this. Let's hope this works. Okay, now you guys might not be able to see it very clearly, but that's actually the image of a tiny little rocket ship. So you guys can actually, again, when you're creating this game, you can change the width and height to whatever you want, and that'll resize your image to however you want, how visible you want the bird to be, whether or not you want to actually put in a bird. But again, that's how you put in images. You say simply you create a p image object, and then you put inside of it a load image and the file name. And you can resize the image by calling resize, and then you can print it out by saying image, the name of the variable you're using for your image, and the coordinates. This episode was all about customization, and I hope you guys can use this knowledge now to add cool things to your game. Maybe you can change the pipes to pillars, or you can, instead of printing rectangles, you can print pillars or something exciting. That's up to you, but thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.